Okay, welcome. Thank you for coming to tonight's Fannin County Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. There are quite a number of you here in person, and hopefully there are hundreds more online watching. We will get started at this time. On behalf of the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce Governmental Affairs Committee, I would like to thank the candidates for attending tonight's forum, and thank you to the school system for the use of the Performing Arts Center. I'm Amanda Hughes, Chairman of the Fannin County Chamber Board, and I've been on the Chamber's Governmental Affairs Committee for years. I have with me Dr. Nathan Price. Nathan is the Interim Executive Director and Professor at the UNG Blue Ridge campus, and we're both excited to be here moderating for you. We're thankful to have the Technology Student Association streaming the forum tonight on Fannin Rebel TV's YouTube channel. This forum is also going to be viewed on the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce Facebook page and ETC3.
Here's what to expect from the evening. We have 3 City of Blue Ridge races with 7 candidates. We will be starting with the race for Post 2 council seat, followed by the Post 4 council seat, and finally the mayor seat. Each position carries a 4-year term, beginning January 1st, 2026, and expiring December 31st, 2029. Our format tonight: each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening statement. Candidates will then be asked several questions that have been suggested to our committee by leaders and residents. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. We have put questions in a bowl, and questions will be chosen randomly. Time permitting, we should get through 4 questions. We will rotate who answers first. Please answer from your seat. After the question portion is complete, candidates will each have 90 seconds for a closing statement. Chamber staff member Kim Foster will be in the front timing and will let speakers know when 1 minute is up, when there are 30 seconds remaining, and when their time is up. This is a forum, not a debate. We'll have a quick transition between candidates and plan to finish up by 7 p.m.
Okay, let's get started with our first race. We have the Post 2 council seat. Candidates are welcome to go to the podium for their opening and closing statement, but if they'll be seated to answer questions as we rotate through those, we would appreciate that. So we'll start with the Post 2 council seat.
And for our opening statements, we'll go in alphabetical order. Our first candidate will be John Bubba Gibbs.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate everyone watching at home. Thank you, Chrissy Grill and the Chamber, for hosting this. I'm going to start out by saying that I'm a conservative. I've been a conservative my entire life. I vote Republican in all elections. So if somebody's out there telling you that I'm a liberal or a Democrat, they are either sorely misinformed or intentionally telling you that to win an election. So I grew up here in Fannin County. I grew up in Mineral Bluff. I went to Fannin County High School. I graduated from here in 1987. After that, I went to Georgia Tech, got an industrial and systems engineering degree, and I went on a whirlwind tour. I was general manager of a factory in Shanghai. I went to Dallas for a year, went to England, where I was vice president Europe, Middle East, and Africa for $1 billion company. In 2002, my company said, "We need you to go back to Dallas," and I said, "I didn't leave anything there. I'm going home," and I came back to Fannin County. I developed 200 acres in McKaysville, where I built 2 miles of roads, installed roads and water, so I have a lot of experience to stand on my platform, which is, this is a big business. We need to run it financially. We need to make sure that we are taking care of our infrastructure, and we need to make sure that we continue to be safe and that we plan for the future. I have the skills and experience that I need to be able to do that. I'll show up professional, I'll show up prepared, and I'll show up planning for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And our second candidate is Angelina Powell.
I would like to thank the Chamber for having us tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to stand before you as a candidate for the Post 2 for the Blue Ridge City Council. My name is Angelina Powell. I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. and I'm proud to be a lifelong resident of Blue Ridge. I have also owned a successful business in Blue Ridge for the past 23 years. For several years, I've had the privilege of serving on the Blue Ridge Zoning and Variance Board. For 7 years now, I've been at the Fannin County Tax Assessors Board. I've gained valuable experience and insight into the inner workings of our local government. I care deeply about where I live and for the people around me. I've been to countless government meetings and I've seen firsthand what works and what doesn't. I'll bring the knowledge and perspective to the City Council, working together with my fellow council members. Find solutions that benefit all of Blue Ridge. I know that our city faces challenges. As your City Council members, I promise to use my government and business experience to help Blue Ridge get back on track. I'll work tirelessly to ensure that our city is governed with transparency, accountability, and a commitment to the values that matter to the residents. My vision for the city is one of community and prosperity. I believe that we can support our local businesses, preserve the natural beauty, and make our city so special. And I believe we can do this while keeping the best interests of our residents at heart. I ask for your vote. Let's get our city back on track financially. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with our first question for the Post 2 council candidates. And the first question, I'll read it, and then Mr. Price will keep in touch with who's answering which question first. So the first question is, do you see parking in downtown Blue Ridge as a problem? If so, what are your specific recommendations for improving the parking situation?
For question one, we'll start with Angelina.
Yes, I've been down there 23 years, and there has been a parking problem. They've worked on different solutions. As of right now, they have 3-hour parking, which doesn't always get enforced. There is options out there in different ways we could look at finding solutions to that. But as of right now, we have the 3-hour parking for my employees. I have a specific place that they park. You can have parking at the church for your employees, but most of the businesses have several employees, so the parking does get difficult. There's, like I said, we have a parking garage, we have parking at the end of the street. There's just, maybe it needs to be enforced. Maybe a little guidance could help out on where to park, and arrows, a little more signage.
Thank you. Bubba.
So if you were at Blues and Barbecue Festival, there were 6,000 people that went to that event. And if you live downtown, it was a nightmare. It's not a problem, it's a nightmare. If you're off West Main, West First, West 2nd, people are parking in your yard. And East First, East 2nd, the same. You can't even see to get out into East First. It's not a problem, it's a nightmare. The first thing I would do is go to the train and say, hey, everybody's parking in this 3-hour parking. We're going to start ticketing these guys. But how about you work with John Kiefer that owns the parking deck next door and say, hey, let's buy a ticket for parking and get in that parking deck because it's always empty. The other thing that the city's going to have to look at is the property on either end of town, that we purchase that through private-public partnership and combine that with a parking deck, maybe an amphitheater, so some of these events are out of town. It's a serious problem, and it's going to take serious solutions, and I believe a parking deck on one end of town is going to be required. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the second question. What is one concrete action that you would take in your first 90 days in office to make a positive impact on Blue Ridge?
And for question two, we'll start with Bubba.
Blue Ridge is a big business. The county has Jamie Hensley that goes and runs the business every day. He reports to the office 5 days a week, probably a lot more than 8 hours a day. The school board has Shannon Dillard that goes to the office every day. The council and the mayor set up for the Blue Ridge City is a week mayor setup. It is meant to have someone that is an administrator to go in and run the city every day. The first thing I would think the city needs to do in the first 90 days that we're in is actually fill that open position. Right now it's being filled by a consultant coming out of Valdosta or South Georgia for quite a large amount of money part-time, and the chief of police is acting in a part-time role for that. That needs to be solved. It's a big business. All big businesses have a manager that shows up and runs the business every day, and that's where I would start with the city of Blue Ridge.
Thank you. Angelina?
I would start with the first 90 days going in with whoever is elected and all of us getting together and going to each department to see what each department does, how it works, try to learn in 90 days to the best of our ability what exactly needs to be done before we consider hiring a city manager, which is not in the charter, to do that. So for my first 90 days, when I went in, I would go to each department and I would want to go with the other council members because that's what it takes, working together. Everybody working on the same page and getting to know each department and what they do before you start making any changes or trying to hire anyone for any positions or changing anyone's position and moving them around. Let's get to know it first in 90 days.
Thank you.
All right, question 3. What is your perspective on building restrictions within the city, including limits on building heights, and how do you balance property rights with preserving the city's character?
The height limit at this point is at 35 feet. I don't see changing anything at this point. I would have to be elected and go in there and look at that. I know each tract of land or each parcel is different from another, and that's something that you have to take into consideration. But right now, I think, because we're talking about the 90 days, that's something that you would have to look at during your 90-day period going into office. It's not something you just walk in and start changing, going up, down. It's went from 60, 45, 30, 35. It's up and down all the time. I think it should stay where it's at this point in time.
Thank you. Bubba?
I don't want to live in Gatlinburg. If I thought Blue Ridge was going to become Gatlinburg, I would go ahead and put my house on the market. I don't believe that big buildings downtown is what anyone wants. When the zoning height downtown got changed from 60 to 35, that basically eliminates anything but a 3-story building. There are quite a bit of buildings downtown that are that height. As long as we stay within those height restrictions, I think that's going to be fine. There's a proposed project in Davenport's Woodyard for 70 houses down there. I personally think that's way too many houses in that small of a space. It's incredibly important that we think through this and we plan for what's going to go forward. It can't be haphazard with what we do planning. We have to look at what's the city going to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 20 years from now. And those zoning things have to be set up like that to make sure that we are secure today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and our 4th and final question, do you feel the city has adequate ordinances regarding short-term rentals? And if not, what changes would you support?
We'll start with Bubba for question 4.
So short-term rentals have been limited to the central business district. I live in an R2 zone on Phase 2nd, and there's no short-term rentals there. I personally have not seen any issues with short-term rentals where they're interfering in my life. I believe that what's the current situation is adequate and acceptable. The noise ordinances apply whether you're in short-term rental or you're in your own personal house. And I think that the city, as far as I know, living downtown, has done a fairly reasonable job enforcing those ordinances that exist. I admit I've not read the actual ordinance to critique it, but I think what's going on now with limited rentals into the central business district seems appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela?
Once again, the ordinances have not been enforced. We have several short-term rentals throughout the city. I don't even think the city is aware of those. People buy homes, they buy tiny homes, what they want to consider tiny homes, and they're leasing them out at night. There is a problem with noise ordinances. Those are not being enforced. I'm not sure if there's an employee that's hired to enforce those. But no, the short-term rentals within these residential areas, I don't think they should be allowed at all. These are where people live, they sleep, they have to work, they have to get up, they got noise going on, people in and out. So no, the noise ordinances or the short-term rentals, that has not been enforced. That has been let get out of hand.
Thank you. And now for our closing statements. Our first closing statement will be Angelina.
Thank you, fellow citizens, for this opportunity to speak tonight. As your council candidate for Post 2, I've had the privilege of knocking on the doors, listening to your concerns, and understanding what matters most to you. And I want to tell you, it's clear, we need change. Overdevelopment is threatening the very character of our small town. We need to find a balance that preserves our natural beauty and our community's charm. Our city's finances need a thorough examination. It's time we take a closer look at how we're allocating our resources. Why should our alcohol sales tax, SPLOST funding, hotel motel tax, and tourism dollars not be used to support the basic needs of our city? We need those funds to fix our crumbling streets, replace our aging sewer and water pipes, and ensure our infrastructure can support our residents. We don't need to annex more properties along our highways to increase revenue. We can provide city water and sewer services to structures within our city without forcing them into annexation. It's time we prioritize our residents' needs. I'm not just a talker, I'm a doer. I'll work tirelessly to ensure our city council makes decisions that benefit our residents. I ask for your vote.
Thank you. And Bubba.
Blue Ridge is a big business. I have big business experience. $30 million budgets, manage as many as 450 people. I've built roads. I've installed pumping stations, extended the city of McCaysville's water system to 100 residences outside McCaysville. I've done these things. I've got a solid track record of doing that. The citizens of Blue Ridge deserve monthly financial reports. That's not hard to do. Businesses all over the world do that every single month in their board meetings. We can do that. The topic of annexation comes up. If you're a city resident and your sewer's backing up or you have a septic tank, you should be mad that they're building new townhomes above Tractor Supply and they're not inside the city limits paying city taxes because you're paying them and I'm paying them, but they're not. You got old sewer systems and they've got new, and that's wrong. When I talk about annexing things, if somebody wants to build a new apartment outside the city, they should join the tax crowd just like I do, just like you do, and pay that. So when we start talking about annexation, I'm not saying we're going to go grab hold of something that's already been done. You can't do that. That's not easy. But I'm here to say I'm defending the taxpayer and looking at what needs to be done for the long-term health of the city. And that's not joining big commercial developments onto the city infrastructure without joining them into the tax base like you and me. I'm Bubba Gibbs. I'll show up professional, I'll show up prepared, and I'll show up planning for the future of Blue Ridge, Georgia. Thank you for coming out tonight.
All right, thank you to both of our post 2 candidates. We will have just a moment of transition while we ask our post 4 council seat candidates to come up to the stage.
Okay, we'll start with opening statements. And starting with alphabetical order, our first candidate will be Jacqueline Kiker Brown. Yes, the podium.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Kiker Brown, and I'm honored to be here today as a candidate for Blue Ridge City Council Post 4. First, I want to thank the Chamber and moderators for hosting this important discussion, and thank you all that are here and tuning in from home. I'm running because our city deserves thoughtful, responsible leadership. Under our current administration, we've seen financial mismanagement, a lack of transparency, and a growing disconnect between local government and the people it's meant to serve. Blue Ridge is a strong, vibrant community, but our government has not reflected that strength. We deserve transparency in budget decisions, accountability from every official, a clear plan to get our city back on track. I'm running to give residents a stronger voice, restore trust, and ensure that the people who call Blue Ridge home are always a priority. Tonight I hope to share my ideas and demonstrate that meaningful change is possible when we demand better and work together to achieve it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our second candidate is Nathan Fitz.
Good evening. I'm Nathan Fitz, and again, I'm running for Post 4 City Council. Most of you guys know that I was on City Council, the administration prior to this one, and you probably think, are you crazy for doing it again? Because I sometimes think that too. But I made a vow to myself that I also would not allow the corruptness that I have seen go on in our local government continue. And the one thing that I can assure you is I am a voice for the people, and I will stand up when needed, regardless of who it is, and will be a name that you can trust. I'm honest, and I will do what I say I will do. And to me, that's big, because we have so many people that run for political office and make all these promises, and they don't follow through with any of them. And as a matter of fact, they waver once they get in office on what they had actually vowed to do in running their campaign. So my vow to you is I will stand up for what's right. I will do what I say I will do. I do have previous experience. I was on the Downtown Development Authority. I have been on council before, and I am in real estate, so I'm pretty familiar with all the zoning and stuff. So I would appreciate your support. Would love to answer any questions with you guys at any time, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Our final candidate is Dr. William Bill Whaley.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This is a testimony to the spirit of Blue Ridge. I am your incumbent city council member, and I have made Blue Ridge my home for 45 years. I'm here by choice, not by chance. Having served your families, and as a physician, as a veteran, as a healthcare builder, and an advocate for public service and responsible city government. Throughout my career as a council member and a leader of public health, veterans advocate, and volunteer, I've always believed that true leadership means listening, bringing people together, and making tough decisions transparently and professionally. Blue Ridge faces challenges, overdue audits, aging infrastructure, and need for steady fiscal leadership. Hard work is putting our finances back in order, and our city government and our city employees are working hard to do it. They are making great improvements in the streets, in the sewers, and in the parks, and I support our present city employees. I pledge to continue to work for a united city council, controlled growth, a city that honors its history and its future, And my commitment is to service, civility, and the principles that make Blue Ridge exceptional.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll begin with the question portion of the post-war council seat race. The first question is, do you support or oppose annexation? If you support annexation, what areas would you consider bringing into the city, and what benefits would it bring to the city? If not, why do you believe annexation is not the right path forward?
For question 1, Nathan Fitz will be the first speaker.
So I am not for annexation. When I was on council, as a matter of fact, there was a circumstance that you guys probably remember to where the annexation made it all the way to the House of Representatives to be voted on when all council members had voted against it. And I got a call from actually the News Observer one day and said, I thought you guys voted against this. And I said, we did. And they said, well, it's on the House floor to be voted on today. And Mayor could probably remember this. And so we got on the phone with the city attorney and found out why and all this and had it removed from the House floor. But we have enough issues in the city right now. We need to take care of what we've got without trying to take over more. And it's a little bit harder than just wanting to annex. The commissioners had no idea about any of this before, even though we were told they did. And they were not in agreement with it. And to me, we're in a small community. We all have to work together, and to go against your own community and try to overpower them and annex is just not the right way to do it. So I think we need to take care of what we got now, and I would not be for annexation.
Thank you. Dr. Whaley?
I know that annexation is a dirty word. I also know that there is a disproportionate burden falling on the city taxpayers that is not being paid by people who are getting water and sewer outside of the city. I also know that the city looks like a hamburger with a bite out of it, and that geographically there are areas that are not included in the city. For example, Roses is in the city and Tinloon isn't. That makes no sense to me. I've worked in Riverstone, it's not in the city. Building above it, beside it, they are in the city. I believe, just like Bubba says, if we're going to take water and sewer to some development somewhere, those people ought to be made to join the city. The way to annex the people that are there and getting services now and not annex them, bad word, is to dramatically increase the price we are charging for the services that we are giving to the people that are getting them now at a bargain basement rate that you are underwriting.
Thank you. Jacqueline?
So I'm not in support of annexation. I think there's a lot of different factors that people, maybe not generally understand. Extending city services outside of our current scope, we're not at that capability yet and taking on that additional responsibility. And in addition, we need to also consider, what the county is wanting to do with that. I don't think that the county is going to be willing to, give that to us. Another deciding factor for me as well is, many of you probably are aware, my father is in the probate court, and how that affects his jurisdiction for his court. Getting that permission and getting that, it completely changes a lot of aspects in how, our governments have, authority. So at this time, I do not support annexation.
Thank you.
All right, question 2. The Blue Ridge Scenic Railway is an important partner in our community. What are your views on the current contract between the railway and the city, and would you recommend any changes?
For question 2, we'll start with Dr. Whaley.
Good. Clarify that question. I'm not hearing you well.
Okay, let me read it again. The Blue Ridge Scenic Railway is an important partner in our community. What are your views on the current contract between the railway and the city, and would you recommend any changes?
I'll have to beg a lack of enough information to be able to say I really don't know that much about the contract. It hasn't come up before this city council for discussion. I believe in partnerships. I believe that the best way that the city can accomplish goals is through partnerships. If you were going to ask a question about worker housing, for example, I tell you, you can't do it without partnerships. So I don't have any personal feeling about the contract or about whether or how it ought to change.
Thank you. Jacqueline?
Our Blue Ridge Scenic Railway has been, a staple, I know, growing up in the city of Blue Ridge all of my life. Like Dr. Whaley said, encouraging that partnership and seeing what works best, for the city. For my general, just basic understanding, the lease on the depot is a little bit lower than what it kind of needs to be. But also, taking into account that, we do have parking issues in downtown Blue Ridge because of it. So, again, just maybe sitting down with them and, discussing what options are, willing to work on, what that contract looks like going forward, is something I would definitely support.
Thank you. Nathan?
So I'm a little bit familiar with the contract. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I would agree with both of these candidates that the train is an important piece of the downtown landscape, and we would like to keep them there, and they do a great job running it. However, they do take up a lot of parking, and to me, it would be pretty easy to have a parking fee included in their ticket prices and route all the parking to a designated location. Because what happens is you've got all these train people who park on the streets, and people who want to go to lunch or pop in and out of restaurants and stuff that are only going to be there for 30 minutes or an hour, they can't get in and out of the parking spaces because they're taking up by train people who are there for several hours, if not all day. So I think just working with the train to try to get them to a designated location will help. I think whether it's the train or anything else that comes into downtown Blue Ridge, they should have their own parking. We should not be approving any buildings or anything if they can't provide their own parking, because we already have enough issues with parking in downtown. The city doesn't need to be solving private individual buildings or hotels or anybody else's parking issues. We've already got parking issues. So I think anything that comes in the city needs to provide their own parking on site. I
Thank
think
you. We'll have to cut it off there, just for time.
Oh.
All right, question 3. What have you done to prepare yourself for this position?
And for question 3, we'll start with Jacqueline.
I don't think that you really honestly can prepare yourself for what a candidate is stepping into when it comes to the current climate of the city of Blue Ridge. For me personally, it's just, we're here to represent the voices of the citizens. To me, it's really, really important, to get out there and make people feel like they're heard. I've been over to, about a fourth, say a little over 100 homes, going door to door, and just listening to the needs, and they're very simple, basic needs, but lending that, listening ear, caring about your community, attending local meetings, whether in person or streaming at home. That's the best way one, I guess, could prepare stepping into this.
Thank you. Nathan?
So, again, I have previous experience on council, so I would agree with Ms. Brown that I don't think you can ever be totally prepared for what you're going to step into, because you just don't know. But the one thing I will say is I think the residents have been overlooked in a lot of the decisions that were made, and the residents are obviously the key factor, and a lot of people don't realize that the city residents pay double taxes. They pay county taxes and they pay city taxes. People in the county just pay county taxes. So not only are people in the city paying double tax, but they are left out of a lot of the decisions because it's based upon the businesses. So I think just being involved in the community and listening to what the residents have to say, residents really don't ask for much in the scheme of things, but they seem to be left out. And I think that most residents in the city of Blue Ridge feel like they are not listened to and they're not heard. So most residents, want us to maintain what we have now before the city continues to grow, and I think it's a very valid concern, and we need to listen to them.
Thank you. Dr. Wood?
I've lived 53 years of leadership. I've been appointed to boards by 3 separate governors. I've had a very diverse experience. I've had more years in service than either of these two have been alive. I've had major results. I've had experience in public corporations and have served on the board of 3 publicly traded companies. I've gone through New York Stock Exchange education for audit committees and executive committees. I started a worldwide health network for cancer care for 550 hospitals and all over the world for Hospital Corporation of America. And I've started a homeless clinic in Atlanta for the unhoused that won the #1 point of light under the last year of the Reagan administration, and then gave a talk at the White House about how you do public service. I think what I've tried to do on the city council has been obstructed, and that my experience and expertise qualifies me better than anybody for this position.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last question for these candidates. City financial management has been a major topic of discussion over the past year. How would you work to ensure the city's financials are accurate, transparent, and sustainably managed going forward?
For question 4, we'll start with Nathan.
So, when I was on council before, we didn't have quite the financial issues that the administration currently has. And I've got to tell you, just as a citizen, it's been a big concern for city administration to tell you they don't know how much money they have is a concern. The last time I checked, the principles of accounting had not changed, and you can take what's in your bank account and you can deduct all the checks that are not cleared yet and your monthly recurring charges, and you can figure out pretty close to what you've got in your bank account. When I hear that, it makes me think that somebody doesn't want to tell us what's in the bank account or what's going on. So I would agree with what the previous candidate said. I think there needs to be a thorough financial audit done at this point of the city finances. And I think that anything in government needs to be transparent. And I can tell you from trying to get open records requests myself, regardless of what you see in the newspapers or anything else, there's a lot that hasn't been released and that hasn't been transparent. And I think everything at this point needs to be released and transparent to all the citizens.
Thank you. Dr. Willie?
Great question. The city was, if you read the newspaper tomorrow, you'll see an ad that looks like an article that I have in there about how our finances at this time are not what the public thinks they are. During the 22 months that we had a very qualified city administrator, you had a monthly financial statement that was public. You had every bank account balanced to the penny. You had each and every audit done on time. And once that position was vacant, it was budgeted, it was advertised, and we had applicants. But a voting block on the city council stopped that from being filled, and that vacancy in leadership has led to the morass that we are involved in now. I am confident that this will be corrected, that with a good city, don't call him a city administrator, call him a city assistant to the mayor, somebody who has been in this business for decades and knows what they're doing will get it back like it was for the 20 months that we had a city administrator.
Thank you. Jacqueline?
First things first, right? So our taxpayers are extremely concerned about the financial climate that the city is currently in, and you can't get answers. You know, the audits have been failed to be filed. They don't know how much money is in the bank. Getting into, first things first is we need to kind of assess what's happening. I don't think it's fair that we blame, certain individuals or, it falls on a council altogether collaboratively to be responsible for taxpayers' money. We have individuals that are over certain departments that should be overseeing how things are being ran on a day-to-day basis. My suggestion would be, proper management, for the proper overseeing of these departments, and especially within your finances, because you need to be held accountable when you're handling taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you. For closing statements, candidates can return to the podium. And our first closing statement is Dr. Whaley.
It's been my privilege to serve Blue Ridge in many capacities, from boardrooms to council meetings to clinics and to charity events. My approach has always been fact-based, transparent, grounded in genuine love for this community. And in the face of misinformation, financial challenges, and demands of growth, I have stood for unity, teamwork, and the highest standards of city leadership. Looking ahead, Blue Ridge needs experienced hands-on deck, leaders who can guide infrastructure improvement, unlock state funds, sustain progress while respecting our rural, family-oriented traditions. I've the record of experience, steady temperament to meet those needs, and I deeply value the hard work that every city employee has been doing to try to help us go forward. I ask for your support to continue leading with civility, collaborative problem solving, and vision. Together we'll keep Blue Ridge strong, accountable, and prepared. I officially retired 3 weeks ago. I am therefore the most qualified, experienced, and available candidate with the energy and the time to represent you and your interests in this position. I would ask that everybody view the videos of our meetings that we've had for the last 18 months and ask yourself why the city is in trouble. And then you will continue to keep me there for strong, civil, level-headed leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next closing statement will be Jacqueline Kiker Brown.
Thank you to the moderators, my fellow candidates, and most importantly, the community members that are here tonight and watching from home. Tonight you've heard different perspectives, but one thing is clear. Our city is at a crossroads. We can either continue down that same path, or we can choose leadership that brings transparency, fiscal responsibility, and real community engagement. I'm running because I believe we need leadership that's transparent, responsible, and rooted in the values that matters to our citizens. We may be a small town, but the decisions made at City Hall impact our daily lives. From how our tax dollars are spent to how our streets, services, and future are managed. I'm not here to make big promises, but what I can promise is that I will show up, I will listen, and I will lead with honesty, humility, and heart. I'd be honored to earn your vote in this upcoming election. Together, let's bring integrity, accountability, and heart back to the city of Blue Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final candidate is Nathan Fitz.
So the first thing I want to say is, regardless of whether it be me as your candidate that's elected or either one of these guys, and also with the other seats, is I hope that we can bring unity back to the city. I have watched, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have, over the last many years, there's been a divide not only between just neighbors over political reasons, but there's been a divide between the residents and the business owners, and there's even been a divide in city administration. And I think regardless of who is elected, I think we all need to chip in and support those people that get elected and stand behind them and make Blue Ridge as strong as possible, because we've got some serious issues coming up. I think this election will truly be the turning point of the landscape of some of Blue Ridge, depending on who's elected, that you can't go back and change. And one of the things I think is most important is having somebody you can trust and having somebody who's going to stand behind their word, who's not going to waver for special interest groups or their friends or whatever. And to me, somebody's past and their record stands for itself. And for anybody who's in office now, if they were going to make a change, why haven't they? So I would appreciate your vote, your support in the upcoming election. And again, anytime you want to discuss anything with me, feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Our right, we're gonna have a brief transition while we have our candidates for mayor come up on stage, and then we'll get started with the final portion of our forum.
Okay, for opening statements, we will start with Tanya Newley.
Hi, my name is Tanya Newley, and I'm running for mayor. I've called Blue Ridge home for over 25 years and have the privilege of raising my son Dylan here. I believe in putting people over politics. For far too long, our elected officials have put their needs above our needs, and we see the result when this happens. The city of Blue Ridge is in trouble. We've lost grant money, we're behind on our audits, we can't get through most council meetings without arguing, and morale at City Hall is at an all-time low. The city of Blue Ridge is a business, a multi-million-dollar business. We have to start running our business like a business. This election is important. We have to elect qualified, experienced leaders to run our business, or it will continue to fail. I have over 25 years experience running successful businesses in Fannin County, including Blue Ridge Orthopedics, which allowed me the privilege to get to know many of you as patients and as friends. If elected, I will run your business the way I run my business, with integrity, strong work ethics, transparency, honesty, and accountability, starting with me.
Thank you. And our second candidate is William Andy Rhodes.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Andy Rhodes, and I'm standing here before you today because I want to be the next mayor of the city of Blue Ridge. First, I want to thank Christy Gribble and our chamber for putting this event on for us tonight, myself and these other candidates, and giving us a voice to reach as many people in our community as possible. I'm the son of Annie Rhodes. In 2018, I married my wife, Sarah Dunn Rhodes. She's a CPA here in town. We've got 2 kids together, Tommy and Winston. A lot of you might have remembered my grandparents, Dub and Cat Rhodes, which brings me to some of my earliest memories of the city of Blue Ridge was riding in my grandfather's garbage truck. I had the opportunity to see the inner workings of the city from a young age, and that affected me pretty profoundly. So I've been in business for myself the majority of my life. Being born and raised here, I graduated from Fannin County High School in 2006. And like any good Baptist, I just want to give you with 3 points to things I want to bring to the seat of mayor. Number 1, I'm just an honest, everyday, hardworking guy. So the first thing I want to bring is common sense. I want to tackle problems that our city is facing with practical solutions. The next thing is accountability. I believe that as mayor, I should be, and leader of the city, I will stand accountable for the direction the city takes, whether that's a good direction or a bad direction. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to start the question portion, and we're going to have 4 questions for these candidates as well. Our first question: the city is a multi-million-dollar operation, and some believe full-time management is necessary. Will you support and work toward hiring a full-time, qualified, experienced, skilled, professional city administrator to lead an efficient and effective city operation?
For question 1, we'll start with Andy.
All right, thank you. Great question. It feels for me a little bit ungenuine because I'm out here, I'm shaking hands, campaigning with folks, and I'm campaigning for the job of mayor, not the title. And so while I agree that it is a big business and we need help, I want to make sure that I could get into the office first and see what needs to be done, see what I can bring to the table. Because we might not need a full-time city administrator. We might need someone that's more of an administrative situation to where they're handling the day-to-day, the desk work. But I want my eyes to be there overseeing the city because that's the respect that I've earned from folks who would be willing to vote for me if I'm elected. So thank you.
Thank you. Tanya?
I'm in support of a city manager form of government for our city. Blue Ridge is a multi-million-dollar business, and it needs professional oversight on a day-to-day basis. A city manager would bring the training and the expertise to handle the operations, the personnel, and the compliance. These are all things that require consistent attention. That being said, a city manager should not replace the leadership. The mayor and the council must still set the vision, the goals, and the priorities for the city.
Thank you.
Okay, question 2. How do you feel about festivals in downtown city parks such as Fire and Ice, Arts in the Park, and Blues and Barbecue?
For question 2, we'll start with Tanya.
I love the festivals that we have in the city of Blue Ridge. I think they're an important part of downtown Blue Ridge. I understand that they put a strain on the parking for our residents. I'm a resident in downtown Blue Ridge, and parking tends to be an issue during the festivals. But I am in support of the festivals in downtown Blue Ridge.
Thank you. Andy?
I'm also in support of the festivals in downtown Blue Ridge. My wife and I, our family, we always do our best to attend these events. It's a lot of fun. But one thing that we've noticed is we don't see a lot of locals at these events. We see a lot of people that we don't know, or maybe we see a lot of people we know from Atlanta. But I would also love to see some more city events working towards the farmers market. I think at that location we might have an opportunity to have more locals come to town to attend an event rather than fighting parking downtown. But that's what I got there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, question 3. What is your perspective on building restrictions within the city, including limits on building heights, and how do you balance property rights with preserving the city's character?
Question 3, we'll start with Andy.
Thank you. I think that zoning and the restrictions are our number one tool for protecting our town. It's a double-edged sword for me because I believe that a man should be able to do whatever he wants to with his property. But at the same time, when you live in such a small area, we only have 2 square miles, if you just let everyone do whatever they wanted, everyone would just build on top of each other. So I think that we have to establish very strict guidelines to where the zoning makes sense. I think there's a lot of issues where it doesn't now. I think if we have the feathered zoning where we don't have a restaurant right next to someone's residence, I think that we have to set a precedent that the spot zoning won't take place. And so I think that we have to be very careful with our decisions and our guided growth and decisions that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya?
What is your perspective on building restrictions within the city, including limits on building heights, and how do you balance property rights with preserving the city's character?
I think it's important that we have zoning restrictions in place. I think that we have to have a real clear vision of what those zoning restrictions look like, and I think we have to enforce those restrictions that we have. The city of Blue Ridge is growing, it's growing quickly, and I believe that in order for us to maintain the small town charm that we have in this city, we have to be mindful of that and enforce those restrictions.
Thank you.
All right, and the last question, describe your vision for Blue Ridge, be as specific as possible.
Question 4, we'll start with Tanya.
My vision for Blue Ridge would be a vision of one of unity and respect for each other. I have basically quit going to council meetings because I have been disappointed in the way that things have been going within City Hall. This is a small town community. People here consider one another family and friends. I moved here because of the people of Fannin County, and I would love to regain that back in our community. I think it's really important.
Thank you. Andy?
I think I'm going to refer to a song I've been singing to my son Winston, and it's by Randy Travis. And there's a line that says, "It's not what you take with you when you go. It's not what you take when you leave this world behind you, but it's what you leave behind you when you go." And so I want to leave Blue Ridge in a better place than where it is today. I want to leave it for your children, for your grandchildren, and most importantly for my children. I want our children to be able to grow up here, work a decent job, and find rewarding work, and be able to raise a family here. That's the most important thing for me. That's the most important vision. I'll always have my family and yours in the back of my mind while decisions are being made at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. And for closing statements, you can return to the podium. And our first closing statement will be Andy.
Okay, tonight you guys have heard a lot of different ideas, but what matters most to me is who will show up every single day for the people of Blue Ridge, and I will show up. I'll also ensure your tax dollars are spent wisely, your voices are heard, and your values are reflected in every decision made at City Hall. Blue Ridge is growing, and with that comes opportunity, but also great responsibility. We can guide carefully that growth while still preserving our heart of our town. We can keep our streets safe, our government honest, and our community connected. I'm proud of my roots here, and I'm ready to serve with integrity, transparency, and a genuine commitment for progress that benefits everyone, not just a few. As one of our former commissioners and chamber presidents, A.L. Stepp, said, living is fine in Fannin. And if I'm elected here tonight, or if I'm elected as mayor, I'll make sure that it's even better in the city of Blue Ridge. I humbly ask for your trust, your support, your prayers, and your vote for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tanya.
I have a plaque on my back porch that reads, "Be the change you want to see in the world." It is that message that inspired me to step up and run for mayor. Blue Ridge desperately needs change. The city of Blue Ridge is in trouble, and the business of Blue Ridge is in trouble. This election is very important. It is imperative that we elect qualified candidates to run our business wisely and responsibly. Our city deserves leaders chosen for their integrity, experience, and ability to make sound decisions for the people of Blue Ridge. I love our community, and I believe we can restore trust, rebuild pride, and make our city even better than it has been. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank the Chamber for hosting this event. I'm Tanya Newley, and I would appreciate your consideration, your prayers, and your vote. Thank you.
I'd like to thank each of our candidates for coming and participating tonight in the forum. This will be able to be viewed at a later time on Fannin Rebel TV's YouTube channel. It can also be found on the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce Facebook page and ETC3. If you have any questions, feel free to call the Chamber at 706-632-5680, or if you need assistance with the replay. Thank you, Nathan, for co-moderating. Early voting starts October 13th and goes through October 31st, 2025. Election day is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. So please get out and vote if you're eligible to do so. Thank you to the Chamber team for making tonight happen, along with the guidance from the Chamber's Governmental Affairs Committee. Thank you all for being here, and have a good evening.